In this post-apocalyptic world overrun by zombies, there is actually such a paradise. Even if the survivors have long been eating meager food, they can still enjoy red wine with steak here, and all of this is attributed to this bearded man. As early as the day of the Doomsday Outbreak, everyone was evacuating their homes, but he was the only one hiding in the bunker, fully prepared. It was not until everyone had evacuated that he quietly pushed open the entrance of the bunker and rushed out fully armed. After confirming that there was no one around, he finally took off his mask and showed a contented expression. But Bill knew it wasn't time to rest yet. First, he drove to his neighbor's house, hung the yacht onto a pickup truck, removed all the seats on the yacht, and drove directly to the gas station. While the power was still on, he quickly filled all the oil drums. Then he drove into the gas company, opened the gas pipeline to his home, and finally went to the hardware supermarket. He began to frantically purchase all kinds of hardware tools, not even sparing air conditioning hoses. At this moment, the power supply was also cut off. That was fast. However, this was no problem for him at all. He had already prepared a large generator in the backyard. All he needed to do was connect it to the gas pipeline and press it gently, and a huge roar would instantly ring out. The next step was to build fortifications. First, he used an electric grid to encircle all the nearby houses. Then he cut down the trees near the electric grid to create a wide enough view. Finally, he buried dozens of fire pipes. A basic fortification was completed. At the very end, he collected food to cultivate a small vegetable garden, set up a chicken farm, and built a meat storage, cold storage. Thus, the utopia in the post-apocalyptic world was finally formed. In the days that followed, apart from going out to purchase supplies, Bill spent the rest of his time watching the mutants who had fallen into traps. His life was relatively comfortable. But one day, 4 years later, when Bill was making weapons, the alarm went off one after another. It turned out that another zombie had fallen into a trap. There was no choice but for him to be fully armed and clear it. But what he never expected was that a human voice suddenly came from inside the trap. This was the first time in 4 years that he had heard a human voice. However, to be cautious, he still loudly questioned the other person if they had any weapons. Only after getting a negative answer did he dare to go forward to check.